Let me say this slowly, just in case you need to hear it today. You are not bad at photography. You are not uncreative. You are not behind. And your iPhone is not the problem. You are just overthinking. If you've ever stared at your camera wondering, is live photo on or off? Should this be 24 or 48 megapixels? Do I need to edit this? This video is for you. And if you're a tech bro or a pixel peeper, this might not be your channel. But if you're someone who just wants to take photos without stressing, stay. By the end of this video, I want you to feel lighter, more confident, and finally realize that the reason your photos feel hard isn't because you lack skill. It's because you've been taught to overthink something that should feel natural. Hi, I am Rose. I am a mom, an iPhone photography teacher, and someone who used to overthink everything. Settings, angles, editing, whether I was doing it right. And I've taught thousands of students, and here's what I've learned. The people who think they're bad at photography are usually the ones who care the most. They're not failing, they're just overwhelmed. I call this the overthinking trap. It's when you stop trusting your eyes and start outsourcing your confidence to settings, specs, and YouTube comments. And once you fall into it, photography stops feeling joyful and start feeling like a test you didn't study for. Let's gently undo that. Here's something I am very guilty of. Overthinking my shots. And the frustrating part is this. The more you overthink, the more disconnected your photos start to feel. Overthinking doesn't make your photos better. It quietly pulls you out of the moment you're trying to capture. You're there, your child is playing, your husband is laughing, your pet is doing something unexpectedly sweet. And instead of being with them, your brain starts spiraling. Is HDR on? Am I in the right mode? Should I switch lenses? Is this sharp enough? And let's be honest, iPhones don't exactly make this easier. There are so many options that the moment you hesitate, you've already stepped out of the moment. So here's a truth I hope feels comforting. Photography doesn't suffer because you don't know enough. It suffers because you're not present long enough. The best photos don't come from perfect settings. They come from being there when something real happens. And I know this because I've lived the opposite. There was one time my family and I were filming a demo for one of my classes. The weather wasn't great and my husband was hot and uncomfortable. My son wasn't cooperating. It was really chaotic and not the fun kind. But I pushed through anyway because in my head, I had a deadline, I had to get the shots, so I kept shooting. Technically correct photos, decent even, but the whole time I wasn't responding to life. I was reacting to anxiety. I was thinking about my shot list, about sharpness, about lenses, about what my students might think. And when I looked at those photos later, you could feel the tension. They weren't bad photos, but they felt empty because photos taken from anxiety almost always do. So we ended up doing it again, literally. I even labeled the folder second try. And the second time, nothing magical changed with the settings. What changed was us. We slowed down, we laughed, we stopped forcing the moment and started living it again. And finally, the photos felt right. Not because they were perfect, but because we were present. So if there's one thing I want you to take from this, is that when you overthink, you disconnect. When you stay present, the photo almost takes care of itself. And this leads to the next shift that changed everything for me. Because good photos don't come from having more options. They come from making simple decisions. There's this small struggle my family and I have whenever we eat out. We live in a semi-tourist town here in the Philippines, so there are a lot of restaurants. And we love that. Food hopping is honestly one of the reasons we stayed here. But there's one thing we've learned the hard way. When we walk into a restaurant and the menu is encyclopedia thick, pages and pages of options, we already know we're in trouble. Because more options don't make the experience better. They just make it exhausting. You sit there second guessing. You wonder if you ordered the right thing. You look at another table and think, should I have gotten that instead? And somehow the joy of the meal disappears. Our favorite restaurants though, they do the opposite. They offer just a few dishes and they do them really well. So no stress, no overthinking, and we always leave happy. Photography works the exact same way. More options don't make better photos. They make anxious photographers. When everything feels adjustable, resolution, formats, modes, edits, your brain stays stuck in decision mode instead of creative mode. And remember what we talked about earlier? Overthinking loves options. More megapixels, more modes, more just in case settings. But confidence in photography doesn't come from knowing every option. It comes from making decisions. The photographers who feel calm aren't more talented. They've just decided. They tell themselves, this is good enough for my life. One lens, one setting, one honest photo. And once you decide instead of debate, photography becomes intuitive again. Now, I know that's easier said than done. So let's make this practical, gently. Let me answer the questions you're actually asking me all the time. Should live photos be on or off? If you're photographing people, movement, or real life, leave it on. It gives you breathing room, a tiny safety net. If you're mostly shooting still life and want to save storage, you can turn it off. That's it. Next, 24 or 48 megapixels. If you're sharing memories, saving moments, or just living your life, 24 megapixels is more than enough. You don't need museum level files to remember your life beautifully. If it's a special occasion, something you plan to print or frame, or you love editing deeply, then 48 can make sense. But most days, 24 is perfect. Now, do I need to edit my photos? Editing isn't about fixing mistakes. It's about helping the photo feel like the moment felt. For me, that usually means a bit more warmth and a little less clarity, because that's how my life feels to me. Soft, warm, a little dreamy. Sometimes I edit, sometimes I don't, and both are valid. If the photo already feels right, leave it alone. If it doesn't quite match the emotion, adjust gently. There's no rule, just intention. And this is the big takeaway. Confidence doesn't come from knowing every option. It comes from choosing one and moving on. Which brings us to the most important part of all. Because once you stop outsourcing your confidence to settings, you start trusting something much more powerful, your eye. This might be the most important thing I'll say in this video. Your eye already knows when something feels beautiful. Before you learned about megapixels, before you watched tutorials, before you started questioning yourself, you felt it. That looks nice, that feels warm, that feels like something I want to remember. And that instinct is not luck. That's your creative intelligence. Photography isn't about proving you know the rules. It's about responding to life as it unfolds. And the more you trust your eye, the quieter the noise becomes. And when the noise quiets, your photos start to feel better. Not sharper, not more technical, just more honest. I know this because I've lived it. I can actually see the difference in my own photos. From when we were living in the city to now, here in Silang, or this quiet little foggy town, beautiful town. The city has its own beauty. I loved it there. Street photography, movement, energy, skyscrapers. It's powerful. But here, everything feels lighter. The air is cooler, there's more green, there's space to breathe. And without trying to change anything, my photos change too. Not because I learned a new setting, but because my eye noticed something before my brain got involved. The softness, the quiet, the pauses. And I let that first instinct lead. That's where my best photos started to come alive. And here's something else I want to say. Gently but clearly. You don't become a real photographer when you buy big lenses. You don't earn the title by entering contests or hanging your work in galleries. You become a photographer the moment you decide that your life is worth noticing. The moment you lift your camera, even if it's just your iPhone, and say, this matters to me. That's photography. Keeping memories, honoring moments, and paying attention. It doesn't have to be professional to be meaningful. If taking photos helps you appreciate your life more, if it helps you slow down, if it helps you see the beauty where you didn't before, that already makes you a photographer. So if you're here thinking, I am bad at this, or I am not creative, I want to remind you again, the people who think they're bad at photography are usually the ones who care the most. And caring means you're already ahead, Overthinking teaches you to distrust yourself, but photography, real photography, teaches you to listen. And your eye, it's smarter than you think. So if I could gently gather everything we've talked about today into one truth, it would be this. You don't need to know more. You don't need to tweak more. You don't need to prove anything. Overthinking disconnects you from the moment. Too many options steal your confidence, and doubting your eye makes something natural feel complicated. But when you stay present, when you make simple decisions, when you trust what feels right instead of what sounds impressive, photography comes back to where it belongs. Not as pressure, not as performance, but as a quiet way of paying attention to your life. You don't take better photos by memorizing settings. You take better photos by being there when something real happens. So the next time you reach for your phone, try this. Pause. Notice what drew you in. Make one simple decision. Take the photo. Then come back to the moment. That's it. No second guessing, no spiraling, no test to pass. Now, if you want to learn how to use your phone not as a distraction but as a tool for presence, I created an iPhone photography masterclass on Skillshare. It's less about settings and more about seeing. You can start with a 1-month free trial using the link below. And when you join Skillshare, you don't just get my class. You get access to thousands of classes from creators all over the world. There are mindfulness classes there that I personally love, ones that help me slow down, breathe, and stay grounded. And if this video resonated with you, if you've ever felt confused, overwhelmed, or discouraged with photography, I highly recommend for you to watch this next. 5 beginner iPhone photo mistakes ruining your shots and how to fix them fast. It pairs perfectly with what we've talked about today, and it will help you let go of the habits that quietly hold your photos back. I'll see you in the next one.